Alright, it's me, LH Music. Welcome to my political life video blog. And guess what? I hope you know this. Because I gotta take a little bit of time about this one, because many gathered in New York City to pay tribute to thousands of lives who have lost on thousands of people who lost their lives on 9/11. And that is why, because 17 years ago, this nation has been attacked for this one. Because thousands of lives were lost. And millions of people have changing their lives forever. And that's why yesterday family and friends gathered to pay tribute to the fathers, sons, brothers, mothers, sisters, and daughters who died on September 11th, 2001. And why? Because many gathered around for a huge ceremony where the Twin Towers stood once in New York City, and one by one, the people, that's right, the people read the names of those who died during one of the deadliest days in American history just yesterday. Now, so this is what happens. They get around to commemorate, you guessed it. Yeah, you guessed it. Guessed it, World Trade Center in New York City. And I cannot even imagine why. Because why? Because the victims on 9/11 gave their lives on the line about this one. Because on September 11th, 2001, four coordinated terrorist attacks against the U.S. killed 977 men and women and children in New York City, Washington, D.C., and of course, Pennsylvania. Now, what about 19 terrorists hijacked for this 4 commercial airlines? Take, for instance, 8:46 a.m. American Airlines Flight 11 has been flown to New York City's World Trade Center, and guess what? The 11-member crew and 11 crew members and 81 passengers just died. And guess what? You know who? Two pilots, 7 flight attendants, and of course, and others. And there could be more about this one. For whom the death tolls, including is because you know what? It goes all the way up to the south and north and south tower just been collapsed. And that's why, because everything else is civilized. Because the death tolls, well, guess what? 343 New York City firefighters, 23 New York City police officers, and so as 37 Port Authority officers has been perished for making heroic attempts to the rescue and those who trapped inside those towers. Now, 17 years later, what have I told you? If the nation remembers all this, those who lost their lives forever, and everyone can be civilized about this one, well, you be the judge about this one, because we will never forget. But what about sports? But what about this? And everybody knows And now, President Trump has speaking at a memorial ceremony in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. And what about Vice President Mike Pence? He spoke in Washington, D.C. in the Pentagon. And here's why. If you might understand this. And it's gonna be outrageous. And what about let's see, Secretary Defense Vice Chairman Secretary Mattis? This is gonna be cool. And because the World Trade Center has never forget this whole thing. Good night. This whole thing. Now, firefighters across the U.S. has been climbing stairs for the fallen. And they will never forget this at all. And and everyone just remember this, because all the sports players, all the team players, sports teams who always remember the ultimate sacrifice of this one. And what about first responders? As far as we're concerned, well, you might ask about this one. And more than 60 athletes lacing up their shoes to mark this 17th anniversary. Because the 3-day multi-state trek began at the Pentagon has been ended yesterday at Ground Zero. Could be the promised run, but somebody's got to do it. Finally, this is going to be disasters as far as we're concerned about this one. You can see everything else because a flag has been placed across America. And it made a lot of sense about this one. Because the children has been learned their lesson about the day has been changed. America has been changed. And each person dies. And they have to remember it. You see, the more of my political life video blog story is this. Because the first responders memorial that's in the works, well, I guess you know by now. But whatever happens to another year and another anniversary of 9/11? Well, next year is 19 years. 19th anniversary. And of course, you find out what it is if 18 years next year when 9/11. Just remember it for now. Well, who knows? Anyways, that's my political life video blog story, and I'm sticking to it for now.